All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. It's our very first ever LAC Virtual Summit, and it's our very first presentation at our very first ever LAC Summit. We've got a whole week of sharing and learning ahead, and so I really hope to see a lot of you back here again, because each of our sessions are going to be such excellent learning opportunities. And before we jump in with today's session, I just want to take a moment to tell you a little bit about this summit, why we're doing it, and who we are. So my name is Emma Burns, and I'm the coordinator of professional learning at Experienced Learning, which is the sponsor of this event and the company that runs the Learning Analytics Collaborative. So maybe we can see a show of hands or a little thumbs up or something. Who's already in the Learning Analytics Collaborative, the LAC? I know we've only got a couple of people with cameras on, but yeah, you got a thumbs up in there too. And I know Lana is also part of our collaborative, and Abby. So what makes the LAC really special is the fact that we're a community. And together, we've got all these opportunities to learn and grow. So I'm really excited to be here as part of this collaborative with you today. So for anyone who's not aware, for anyone who's thumbs down, what the LAC is and what we do, we are a platform and also a service for schools who want to use learning analytics to improve and transform. So if you've got any questions after this, please reach out and we can arrange a demo call, things like that. But our mission is really to help you to build cultures of data. And we do that by helping you not just have data, but use data to make an impact. So what we do is we collect all the data that you have in a school, not just your academic data, but also things like demographics, well-being, anything you've got. And then we collaborate with you to figure out the best way to share that data as information. And then we teach you how to use that information. And we provide things like protocols and tools that are bespoke for your school so that your community can gain insight about your learners. So we have over 100 different visualizations already created, and each one of those is customized to answer the questions that schools have. So if we don't already have a visualization that provides the answer to the question, we'll work with you to create it. We've got dashboards for teachers wanting to know about their students, for specialists wanting to help EAL students or learning support. We've got dashboards for admin, board, and HR. And we also have dashboards for parents and students who want to see a deep dive of how their students are doing over time. We have over 50 schools in our collaborative, and we grow every day. And we're all about sharing the learning. So when one school develops a use case, we share that information with other schools, and then everyone can learn and grow. So we publish case studies, we share protocols, and we even have a summit. This is our very first one, and it's where schools can share how they're learning and growing and developing those cultures of data use. So I'm delighted to kick off this summit with Joanne and Reinette from ISL Qatar. Joanne's the Director of Learning, Analytics, and Innovation, and Reinette is the Head of Inclusion and Wellbeing. So we're going to hear from two really important perspectives. And ISL joined the LAC with a really specific goal in mind. And I know it's a goal that many schools have been grappling with. How do we best meet the needs of all the students? And how do we use data to identify those needs so we know who those students are? So what they're going to do is share a little presentation, and then it's actually more of a roundtable discussion. So you'll have an opportunity to share your thoughts and your questions as well. So it is my pleasure to hand over now to Joanne and Reinette.
Thank you, Emma. So yeah, we're just going to share our story with you about how we've begun with the LAC, and then we're going to ask you all to share your stories with us.
Hey, you ready? Yeah.
In 2022, ISL Qatar found itself at a crossroads. The school's mission and values needed to evolve to meet the demands of an ever-growing, diverse student body.
After reimagining their guiding principles, belonging, integrity, grit, and kindness, ISL Qatar set off on a mission to build a school where every learner could thrive.
But to truly live out these values, the school needed to understand its students better.
That's when they partnered with two key allies, Next Frontier Inclusion to enhance their inclusion practices, and the Learning and Analytics Collaborative to unlock the potential of data. Armed with these companions, ISL Qatar began a quest to break down barriers to learning.
Joanne and Reinette, our intrepid heroes, knew that data would be the key to personalising learning for each student. With the help of NFI and LAC, they sought to combine two powerful forces, inclusion and data analytics. Before the start of this school year, NFI provided a week of intensive professional development.
This training helped the staff reimagine how they approached student support and build a foundation for transforming the school's culture. They weren't just focused on collecting data, they were learning how to use it to personalize learning and improve inclusion practices.
NFI's audit helped the school identify areas where it could be strengthened, and LAC brought the real game changer, the LAC data dashboard. This tool allowed the school to dive deep into student data, uncovering insights that would guide their decisions moving forward. The dashboard revealed patterns, trends, and opportunities for early intervention, helping ISL Qatar focus its efforts where they were most needed.
As they ventured deeper into their data-driven quest, Joanne and Reinette encountered significant roadblocks. Student numbers were missing from admissions data, report card grades were calculated as averages without final data being stored, and data was scattered across different formats and platforms. Even more, staff were new to working with data, and ownership of it was unclear.
The LAC data dashboard became a crucial tool in cutting through this jungle. It centralised the school data, helping the team to visualise it in ways that made sense. Suddenly, it wasn't just about numbers, it was about real insights that could guide decision-making. While many challenges remained, the dashboard provided a map to navigate these complexities.
Determined to overcome the challenges, Joanne stepped in with a practical solution. She introduced the here's what, so what, now what protocol to help teachers interpret the data and turn it into actionable insights. This protocol gave the staff a structured way to understand what the data was saying, why it mattered, and what they needed to do next.
But this transformation didn't happen overnight. The professional development provided by NFI before the school year laid the groundwork for a shift in school culture. With a shared understanding of data and inclusion, the school was now ready to act on the information the dashboard provided.
At the same time, ISL Qatar recognized the need for consistency across the school. They adopted Toddle as their main learning management system to bring curriculum and assessment data into one place. Together with the LAC data dashboard, Toddle gave the school a unified system that helped track student progress, respond to their needs, and ensure a personalized learning experience for every student.
As the new school year began, ISL Qatar stood ready to take their data journey to the next level. The LAC data dashboard has already shown its potential by helping the school identify patterns in student performance, but the real adventure was just beginning.
With the dashboard as their guide, ISL Qatar plans to continue refining their data practices, using the insights it provides to support every student more effectively. The focus will be on using data to personalize learning for all, particularly those with additional needs, and to measure the impact of those interventions on student engagement and well-being.
The quest ahead is filled with new hopes and challenges, but Joanne and Reinette are confident that with LAC's tools and a commitment to inclusion, they will create a school where every learner's potential is realised.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for letting us share our story. We would like to invite now the roundtable discussion, where maybe you might like to ask us questions about how we've begun our journey, Or you might like to share your own stories, perhaps challenges that you've encountered with data or building a data culture. You could ask your questions by raising your hand, or we're happy to put them in the chat and we can read them out and answer them all. And we will pick on people if we don't get any questions.
You don't want to be in a webinar with a group of teachers, do you?
Sorry, I had to multitask. Thank you. That was really interesting. I hadn't heard of NFI before. We're doing a lot of work on inclusionary practices, and that one wasn't on my radar. How did you come to work with them?
We've done a lot of research on international companies that work with inclusion and how to break the barriers in schools. And this was one of the companies that we decided to go with. They have different expertise and their staff that they're working with as well. And they travel to schools, and they basically, what they've done with ISL is we've done an inclusion audit. And that was an amazing experience because that ran over a full year. And then after the audit, we can start to look and work with them on what practices need to be improved first.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing partnership for us, starting with the data, the inclusion audit, and then now as we mentioned in the story, we asked them to come in for a week where we did professional training, first with our leaders and then with the whole school. And then specific sessions with our learning support, our EAL and our counsellors as well, and then our middle level leaders. We have our Tuesday afternoons for professional development. So they're also going to be leading some small group sessions on those Tuesdays for us as well. We also did a data and a technology audit with Consilience as well, which also helped us a lot in understanding what data we had, what our problems were with our data, what we needed to do. And number one of our recommendations was to build the culture of data, because that was really where we had our biggest issues. It wasn't that we weren't collecting data, it's that we weren't collecting it perhaps in the right way or using it in the right way. And that was because the culture wasn't there. So I think that's been a big learning for us. Yeah.
I mean, what did you do first to start to build that culture? That's like a mountain of a task.
It is a mountain of a task, and we're not there yet. We're just at the beginning of our journey, definitely. But I think simplicity has been key. Is sort of bringing in a very sort of simple protocol. So just like noticing patterns, then sort of trying to come up with interpretation, and then just setting goals from those data. So just a very beginning pattern there, and then using the dashboard to try and put data into one place. So for example, our reader scores, they were sort of held in spreadsheets before, and not everyone had access to them. So be able to put those into the database. Our learning support assessments as well that we do at the beginning of the year, again, they were held in a spreadsheet, and people had access to them, but not everyone had access to them. And we weren't able, whilst we used that data to inform our decisions around learning support, we weren't using it to inform all of our decisions. We weren't comparing that data with other data, for example, like attendance or the student well-being. So we had lots of data, but lots of data in isolation. And so I think having it all in one place has been really helpful for us.
Yeah, I think we're experiencing that very much. Like with our MTSS meetings, we're just like clicking from one spreadsheet to the next, trying to make sense of what we're collecting. You said we use Toddle also, and you're able to seamlessly extract information from Toddle into LAC?
Yeah, well, we're beginning to do that, so we don't have as much experience. We're just building Toddle now, but yes, Toddle connects to the dashboard, and so the more data we start to put into Toddle, the more we'll be able to use that as well.
Yeah, I'll just jump in to let you know. So we can, whatever data you've got, we can get it in there quite quickly and easily. If the software has an API, it can be done in the background, basically automatically. And Toddle is still figuring out their API. So, but that's something that we're hoping will be working more effectively even really soon. But in the meantime, as it is at ISL, we're still able to download the data from Toddle and put it into the LAC for you. So we've got to work around.
And for example, we download our IB results as well, and those go into the dashboard, so we can see those. We have last year we did the PASS survey, so that data is also there as well. And then we're moving forward, we're going to start trying to enter data straight into the dashboard as well. I think there'll be some types of data, rather than putting data into a spreadsheet, we'll put it straight into the dashboard, where it's sort of that data that we're collecting ourselves rather than a platform collecting it. And I think then the other thing that we've been doing, which sort of comes into that culture, is we decided that we wanted to have some sort of standardized tests in the school. Part of this was a recommendation from the Ministry of Education here in Qatar, but also something that we recognized that we needed. We needed to be able to measure our students' progress. And so what we did was we built a committee. And so that committee looked at various different products and looked at both the assessments and the types of data that it would collect as well. So again, kind of getting people involved in those decisions about how to choose what data we have, I think it helps us build the culture as well. And so yeah, so our committee, we started off with Reinette and I. We did like a first screening of about 16 different companies. We then kind of brought that down to 5, which then we got the committee to look at. And the committee had our admissions team, it had teachers, it had leaders, it had members from learning support. And then we've decided to trial. We're going to be using some map data from grade 4 to grade 8, collecting map data, and then we're going to be using Amplify in our grade 1s. So we're looking at that just to see that we're kind of based on how that goes for next year. We'll decide what to do with our 9s and 10s and our KG and our grade 2 and 3, because we're not quite we were not convinced that MAP would give us the right data for our really young learners, but we're also not quite sure where that cutoff is yet. Whether is it grade 2, is it grade 3? And so yeah, so we're going to again get the committee involved in that. We'll get feedback from teachers about how it works in grade 1, and that we can work out how far down we go and how far up we go with Amplify, and the same with MAP.
Awesome. And then you've got that data that you're able to be measuring that and really seeing in real time how effective it is. I'm really curious. It seems as though your school's been really like conscious and going, okay, we're going to consciously get behind this idea of a data culture, and also of being inclusive and meeting every student where they're at. Do you notice like what's been the feeling of the staff, and what's changed in the classrooms with those two messages?
Well, this year, it took a long time to get that culture of everyone wanting to take part in it. This year, I think teachers are a lot more positive. And especially because it's part of our strategic plan. It started with senior leadership, and senior leadership really needs to buy into inclusion and data collection. And if it's driven from senior leadership, it's so much easier for the other staff members as well to buy into it. It's written into our strategic plan, and we've shared the strategic plan with the teachers, and also with the whole community. And so that we worked on it about 2 years ago. Last year it was introduced. So it's taken a good 2 years, I want to say, to get to the point of where people actually now buy into all of this.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it as well comes from getting teachers involved early, so getting them involved in like the audits and getting their feedback on what they see as working well and what could be improved, and really kind of giving them a voice, I think also helps.
I think too, understanding that it does take time, right? Sometimes we see schools that are, well, we got the LAC and everything's in there. Like why isn't it working? Like because it does take time. You're changing the way people do something, and and trying to bring the shift of a whole organization, trying to steer that ship. It's tricky. But yeah, it certainly seems the progress that and the track that you guys are on is really exciting.
Yeah, I think we definitely feel like we're right at the beginning of the mountain. We're not, but we feel like we've packed our bags, we've got all the gear that we need, we're ready to tackle it, and now it's sort of time to start climbing. So yeah,
You can't climb the mountain without the bag, Picking the bag
Exactly.
is a really important step. Does anyone else have any questions?
would anyone else like to share what they've done or any challenges that they've had?
I see we've had quite a few more people join the call as well, so welcome. And this is, my name is Emma Burns. I'm Professional Learning Coordinator at LAC, and I'm with Joanne and Reinette from ISL Qatar, and they're talking about how they are bringing in a culture of data at ISL very consciously with the goal to meet the needs of all learners and a real inclusive education lens. Did I capture that pretty well?
Yes.
Yes.
So if anyone has any questions about how they've been doing that, or if you want to share some of the things that you found in your schools, that would be great.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hey.
Maybe I put my camera. Hi. So I'm Ibti and I work at St. George in Luxembourg, St. George International School in Luxembourg. So we follow the British curriculum and I'm the data and digital coordinator. So for a few years, I tried to embed this culture of data. And we started first with, I started first to give tools to the management team, to the leadership team, to be able just to see if there are consistencies from just the grades that we collect from the reports. And I introduced Power BI with the dashboards. And slowly, it takes time, but now we are maybe at our 4th or 5th year. And I have every time teachers come in and asking for data and say, can I access my previous data? Can I see my data? And they are really into it. We did a lot of training. We did a lot of, so each year we had 1 year, which was really like a focus. And this year it's back again, but more not as data, but as assessment tools. So it's not only about, and we are calling also external people to help us build this assessment and well-being, and not having data just raw. But I'm happy to discover Toddle, so I'm going to contact them and see what we can do, because it is also frustration that we have a lot of data. It takes a lot of work to work it from Excel, export it, we do progress tests, we do pass. So there is plenty, but then to link it directly to the curriculum or the interventions or skills, it's another more complex step. So yeah, I'm happy that you're sharing your experience and listening to you.
I think one of the things that we've been able to start to see with using the dashboard from LAC has been how we can sort of combine data. So we can kind of put DP scores over past results to kind of look at which students have positive feelings about school and what are their grades like compared to students who don't have positive feelings about school, and what are their grades like. So you can, the dashboard helps us do is really combine these pieces of data and look for patterns that you might not be able to see without a tool like that.
Yeah, so we started just by adding like a column of past results and comparing it. And now I'm at the stage where there is so much data that I would like to see what we could do with it. But my project this year is to look at just 5 or 6 girls in math, particularly, and see why they are dropping. But for these 6 girls, looking at all sorts of data that we have, instead of always looking at like 500 students in primary, instead of looking at the whole, trying to do the opposites and look at the ones who are like in the middle and maybe they have a low pass or score, and see what we can do with them. But it's a really slow process just to get there. But yeah.
It is, but I think what we've seen as well, kind of taking it slow and working with small groups, either small groups of data or small groups of people, really does help you build that culture gradually, because it's such a mammoth task to get. I mean, we've got, as I'm sure many schools are similar sizes or bigger than us, 140 teaching staff plus
1,200 students.
1,200 students. That's an awful lot of people. That's an awful lot of data. And so yeah, kind of trying to attack it all at once, I think is too big a job. So definitely, I think kind of looking at small projects is a good way of sort of starting to build that culture. And then what you start to see is, I'm sure, like you said, you now get teachers coming and asking you for data. They can see the power of it because it's worked in a group. That's what you want. You want to get people to start asking for it. And it's great that you're in that position and you started to lay those groundwork.
One last thing that we introduced, it's also Century for year 5 and 6 for end of primary. And because of this one, they have dashboards that are embedded and teachers have access to it at all time, but also students have access to the same kind of data. So it has been also very successful because they could see the progress, the teachers, and also the students can go to their own dashboards. But of course, this came also because now we have this culture of data. So they embraced Century and what it was to offer there with the, but for now, it's mainly for math.
I think that's great to start with a little pilot group like you're doing, 5 students, because it can be really hard. As you just said, there's so much work that goes into this from everybody, right? The teachers have to be collecting the data and making sure that it's accurate, and then you're working on the back end with Power BI, and to be able to just do it on a small scale and have really good results that then you can take to everybody and go, look, it was a lot of work, but look at the value that we get from this. It's going to be worthwhile doing it with a bigger group of kids. And that's an easier sell, isn't it? Trying to do it that way. Yeah.
It was interesting what you were saying about how this year you're working on assessment as well, because I think that's something we started to notice, that we need to think about our assessments. And I think that's something that we're hoping to use Toddle for, as a way of kind of starting to record those assessments and then be able to feed those into our dashboard to sort of look at children across the year of using so we're an IB school, so using the MYP criteria as well as and then the DP as well. And so sort of start to do that tracking throughout the year. But I think one of the things that we have to tackle as well is making sure that the assessments are right, because then the data's right. So I think that's a big step that we're starting to think about. So it's great that you're able to start that this year. I think for us it's a little bit down the road, but it's something that we're mindful of.
I wonder if anyone else has something they want to share or a question for Joanne and Reinette. We keep getting people joining us, which is fabulous. We need to do we should show you your video again.
Maybe we could end with the video as well, so for those who joined late, and then everyone else can leave.
That's a good idea. Okay, well, that is our 30 minutes just about up. So if anyone has any other questions, great. These guys are going to be on the call for a little bit longer. Otherwise, that's actually a really good idea, if you don't mind, that we show the video again, because I know a lot of people didn't get the chance to see the whole thing. Oh, Ibti, did you have another question? No.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing your story with us. It's good to hear how other schools are doing as well, and that we're not alone.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna share our screen again, and we'll go through the story.
Let me just log in quickly again.
And thank you to those who have already seen it and are going to head off for their day. And thank you so much for being a part of the first session at the first summit from LAC.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, here we go. Okay.
Okay. Right. In 2022, ISL Qatar found itself at a crossroads. The school's mission and values needed to evolve to meet the demands of an ever-growing, diverse student body.
After reimagining their guiding principles, belonging, integrity, grit, and kindness, ISL Qatar set off on a mission to build a school where every learner could thrive.
But to truly live out these values, the school needed to understand its students better.
That's when they partnered with two key allies, Next Frontier Inclusion to enhance their inclusion practices and the Learning Analytics Collaborative to unlock the potential of data. Armed with these companions, ISL Qatar began a quest to break down barriers to learning.
Joanne and Reinette, our intrepid heroes, knew that data would be the key to personalising learning for each student. With the help of NFI and LAC, they sought to combine two powerful forces, inclusion and data analytics. Before the start of the school year, NFI provided a week of intensive professional development.
This training helped the staff reimagine how they approach student support and build a foundation for transforming the school's culture. They weren't just focused on collecting data, they were learning how to use it to personalize learning and improve inclusion practices.
NFI's audit helped us at school identify areas where support could be strengthened, and LAC brought the real game changer, the LAC data dashboard. This tool allowed the school to dive deep into student data, uncovering insights that would guide their decisions moving forward. The dashboard revealed patterns, trends, and opportunities for early intervention, helping ISL Qatar focus its efforts on where they needed most.
As they ventured deeper into their data-driven quest, Joanne and Reinette encountered significant roadblocks. Student numbers were missing from admissions data. Report card grades were calculated as averages without final data being stored, and data was scattered across different formats and platforms. Even more, staff were new to working with data, and ownership of it was unclear.
The LAC data dashboard became a crucial tool in cutting through this jungle. It centralised the school's data, helping the team visualise it in ways that made sense. Suddenly, it wasn't just about numbers, it was about real insights that could guide decision-making. While many challenges remained, the dashboard provided a map to navigate these complexities.
Determined to overcome the challenges, Joanne stepped in with a practical solution. She introduced the Here's What, So What, Now What protocol to help teachers interpret the data and turn it into actionable insights. This protocol gave the staff a structured way to understand what the data was saying, why it mattered, and what they needed to do next.
While this transformation didn't happen overnight, the professional development provided by NFI before the school year laid the groundwork for a shift in school culture. With a shared understanding of data and inclusion, the school was now ready to act on the information the dashboard provided.
At the same time, ISL Qatar recognized the need for consistency across the school. They adopted Toddle as their main learning management system to bring curriculum and assessment data into one place. Together with the LAC data dashboard, Toddle gave the school a unified system that helped track student progress, respond to their needs, and ensure a personalized learning experience for every student.
As the new school year began, ISL Qatar stood ready to take their data journey to the next level. The LAC data dashboard has already shown its potential by helping the school identify patterns in student performance, but the real adventure was just beginning.
With the dashboard as their guide, ISL Qatar plans to continue refining their data practices using the insights it provides to support every student more effectively. The focus will be on using data to personalize learning for all, particularly those with additional needs, and to measure the impact of these interventions on student engagement and well-being.
The quest ahead is filled with new hopes and challenges, but Joanne and Reinette are confident that with LAC's tools and a commitment to inclusion, they will create a school where every learner's potential is realised.
Awesome. It's so exciting. I can't wait to see you guys come back next year and tell us like where you're at. And
Yeah.
it's really interesting to be able to look at how far you've come.
Yeah, it'll be good to move the onto the next part of our journey. I see we've got a question. So yeah, we mentioned Amplify for grade 1. What tool do you use for grade 2 or 3? So we're at the moment we're trialing Amplify with grade 1. We're going to start using MAP from grade 4 upwards. We really want to see what the data is like and how our students and our teachers react to Amplify before deciding where is our cutoff. Our sort of instincts are telling us that Amplify for KG, grade 1 and grade 2. And then grade 3, we're really not sure whether MAP or Amplify is the right one. So we're sort of interested to see how that will go. As I said, you know, I think getting teachers on board, helping us to make those decisions, I think is also an important part. So although it means we've got a year without data for those 2s and 3s, I think it's worth it in order to kind of for the long-term vision.
Yeah, I mean the data's only as good as it is, right? Like so, yeah. If it's not the right tool, you're better not have it. Awesome. All right. Well, we are just about out of time. So if nobody has any more burning questions, if you do, drop them in the chat. But if not, I would like to really thank Reinette and Joanne for being here and sharing their journey with us. And thank you to everyone for all your questions.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your stories.
Yeah. And hope to see you again in the next session, which starts in 20 minutes, I think. So, and yeah, thank you very much and see you soon.